back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. And got a lot more to get to here in this final segment. Ron Futrell from Channel 8 in studio with us, along with my co-host J.D. Sharp. And we have Susie in studio as well, who's one of Ron's friends and is a Donald Trump supporter. So I'm going to go at it with Susie here in just a few minutes. But before we do, we did
promises.
I will. But before we do, I know we had a caller
We had a
caller that called in.
She misses, huh?
Well, I always like to hear from callers who don't want to be on the air, but they give our producer Ken some information. Ken, what went on? What happened?
So we had a caller call in. This one's for JD. He was saying that he thinks JD should be fired and replaced with Susie since JD didn't show up on time.
That is kind of funny. JD, you have to admit that is a little funny.
That is hilarious.
I know you find it very funny. Well, that's a compliment to you, Susie,
Yes,
I guess, right?
absolutely, because I was an hour late.
Yeah, well,
so.
that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, the number to call is 257-5396. We are going to take a few more quick phone calls, and then me and Susie are going to have a little discussion. I'll see if I can convert her to not being a Trump supporter. Anyway, let's go to Justin real quick. Justin, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you? Justin, are you there? We've lost Justin. Justin, I'm sorry. Tried calling back. I know you've been waiting on hold for a while. It was your moment, and you blew it. Let's go to Al. Al, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was actually calling in about a completely different point I wanted to make. But you said something very interesting when you were on the phone with that police officer, when he expressed how he and his family had sponsored someone to come to the U.S. from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
You said that everybody doesn't have that luxury. And I want to clarify up front, I am not a Trump supporter at all, but I do support legal immigration in this country.
As do I.
Having said that, you said something interesting. You said, well, everybody doesn't have the means, and they come here the way they do because they don't have the means to find a sponsor. So I guess my question to you would be, so if I didn't have the money to pay my bills or to pay for a mortgage, could I then just walk into a bank and hold it up because I don't have
I'll
the
gladly
means?
answer your question. There are many people out there that do not have enough money to pay their bills. There are a lot of people out there that have hardships. But you know what? We have policies in this country, and we have, whether it's food stamps or welfare or free health care, there are things in this country that can help people like that. And what I'm trying to say is, since we help people like that, we should be able to help people that come into this country illegally, that are not felons, that are good people, that have no other choice, are in extreme circumstance, like the woman I talked about last week who was a transgender, who was afraid of losing her life. She comes to this country, she gets deported back to El Salvador, and she is killed. So I'm answering your question, man. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, there are ways that people can help you.
You did answer the question in part. The other part, I guess, to the
thought I
question
answered it in full, but okay, go ahead.
Well, so we do have policies and we do have laws and we do have a right way to get into the country.
Yes.
So why? Because they're and then if that's the point, then they should ask for amnesty or political asylum or whatever and go through that process.
Al, you're making it like it is that easy where, oh, you know what, I want to come to this country illegally because my life is threatened and I don't have any money, I don't have a penny to my name, but you know what, let's just go through it the legal process, the legal way. Not everyone has the means to be able to do that. There are extreme circumstances, just like there are extreme circumstances in this country.
There are organizations that would have helped that woman.
And maybe perhaps she did not know that.
And if she would have contacted them, that's what's great about Americans, is that we do have organizations that do help other people. It shouldn't always fall on the government to help and understand all of those situations.
But there is no guarantee that if she made that phone call, she would have been able to come to this country immediately.
But there was no guarantee that she was going to have a right to come here illegally either.
I'm going to be very clear. If my life was threatened, and I thought maybe my life, or if I had kids, their lives were threatened, and if I thought a phone call could make it that simple, then I would do that phone call. But not everyone is going to have that luxury to be able to make a phone call and come into this country. So there are extreme circumstances, Al, and you cannot deny that.
I don't deny it, but there are also lots of folks who try to come here and never make it. They die.
So let's come up with a system that works. Why can't Democrats and Republicans come together?
But why?
It's not just about a wall. There are a lot of other reasons and a lot of other people in this country illegally that overstay their visas. There are a lot of things that we need to talk about in this. Not just building a $5.6 billion wall. That's not going to solve all of our problems.
I 1,000% agree with you. But
so we're in agreement then.
I will also say that there are the original reason I called was to say, let's talk about what those policies would be and what they would look like to solve.
I have an idea. And I want Susie. I want to get your and Al. I'm sorry, buddy. But I want you to listen to this. But I got to let you go because I got to get some other callers.
Is this where you're going anti-woman?
No,
this where you're going anti-woman?
Not anti-woman. Okay, Susie, JD, Ron, tell me what you think about this. I have an idea. If you come into this country and you have a visa, I don't have a problem with every single one of those people having an ankle bracelet, just like we would, because if you overstay that visa, you're a criminal. I want an ankle bracelet on every single person that is in this country with a visa, because the majority of the people that are in this country that are illegals overstay their visa. That should be priority number one. I don't have a problem with improvements to the border wall, but there are many people, El Chapo being one of them, who was the king of these tunnels. Never hear anyone talking about the tunnels and smuggling drugs, because the majority, 80 to 90% of the drugs that are smuggled into this country go through legal ports of entry. President isn't going to talk about that because it's not the right type of agenda for his wall. Why can't we talk about all the issues in this country? People overstaying their visas, the tunnels, legal ports of entry, drugs. We could put all the money towards all these topics, not just the wall. Susie, go ahead.
Well, I think the wall will put processes in place that we need now. I don't think it's going to solve everything, but I think it will actually take away a lot of the illegal immigration that is coming into our country. The illegal immigration that's coming into the country is affecting education in our country. There's teachers. They've made it now with Clark County where you have to get a background check to volunteer at the school. My sister works in a lower income school. She has no volunteers because half of the parents are illegal aliens, and they don't want to do a background check because they're going to get deported. So it's affecting education. It's affecting everything. So if you build a wall, it does allow to put some of these processes in place and free up funding long term to make it to where like you can apply legally to get into the country. I think America's great. I would like everybody to have the opportunity to come here, visit, have a job, earn a living,
So you think it's a
pay
state of
taxes.
emergency?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question. 20 years ago, there were 4 times more people coming into this country illegally.
Okay.
It is 75%.
And we put in processes,
75%.
and we put more people on the borders, and we've made it to where it's
75% down, but you still think it's a state of emergency.
absolutely.
See, to me, 9/11 is an emergency. To me, state of emergency, if they're horrific earthquake or a hurricane, to me those are emergencies.
Okay.
I don't think this is a state of emergency, and Donald Trump admitted it, that he didn't even have to do this. He said that the other day.
He said he didn't have to do this process. He didn't say he didn't have to do it. He said he didn't have to do it by that process. Now, it's totally out of context.
And what he meant by that is,
right there.
had Pelosi and Schumer played ball, he wouldn't have had to do this. That's what he meant.
They were willing to offer him
Don't spin
$1.3
it.
billion. I'm not spending anything. They were willing to offer
The
him.
government has spent $25 million teaching chimpanzees how to play blackjack. They spend trillions of dollars a year. $5.8 billion is an absolute drop in the bucket.
So if that's the case,
And the most efficient purchase the government's probably made in years.
So I ask you this question then, based on what you just said. If that is the case, then why is he not talking about illegals that overstay their visas? Why is it just border wall talk? I will tell you why I think that is the
it the
case.
media
Well, no,
that's not talking more
He's
about
not talking about it. I never hear him talk
It
about
definitely fits his agenda and what he's run on. Obviously. And,
Right.
and that's why he
And
declared
that's a problem.
And that's why he declared the state of emergency. Because if he didn't do that, his base would have left him. Bottom line.
I think he screwed up already. He could have had $25 billion. He screwed that up pretty good. He screwed it up. He could have had 20. You can't deny that. He could have had $25 billion. He absolutely. I don't hear Republicans. Funny, I don't hear them talk about that. Your president screwed it up. He could have gotten $25 billion for this wall.
Your president. He's your president.
Yeah,
Brian.
we all
He's
have
your
the same president.
Brian, he's
We're
your
all
president.
Americans.
Unfortunately.
Are you a citizen of the United States,
Brian,
Brian?
he's your president.
Unfortunately, he's the
Whether
president
you
of the
voted,
United States.
whether you
visa
voted or
is
not,
your
he is your
visa.
president.
Unfortunately, he's the president of the
We
United
checked
States.
Where's your birth certificate?
Yeah.
Check Brian's ID, please.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't hear them talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate anymore, but Trump went on that for 5 years. Look, Susie, here's
Yes.
why I don't like Donald Trump. Okay? Here's why I don't like him. I'm going to lay it all
he
out
plays
for you.
golf.
No, that's not why.
Because
I
he's
think-
richer than you?
Because
He's a-
he has a silver spoon in his mouth.
I'll wait until you guys let me respond.
He does.
No, that's not why either.
Oh.
That's not why either. I don't
'Cause he has
respect
beautiful-
Donald Trump. and
Beautiful wives?
no, that's not why either. Yeah, wives. Yeah,
He's
wives.
a divorcee.
Okay. First of all, well, let's just start. He's not a good father. He's not a good husband. Okay, let's just
His
start
kids
there.
are still living with
his
him.
kids are rock stars.
All right, if you want to call
yeah.
Donald Trump a good father for all the times the womanizing he did and all the wives he cheated on, then go ahead. I don't think he's a good father. I think he sets a bad example there.
Husband and father are two different things. By
Secondly,
the way. Husband
That's
and
true.
father are two different things.
Okay, well, when you go after
Ron
a
knows.
POW, when you go after John McCain, to me, that should have been enough for him to not run for president. When you go after somebody because they were a prisoner of war and say you don't respect somebody because they were captured.
McCain went after him first, though, right?
Never.
This was a
you
response.
can't make that
I agree.
argument.
It wasn't an appropriate response, but he went after him first.
On policy, that is a 180 compared to Trump going after him for his service to this country. You cannot do that. That is beyond disrespectful.
Okay, JD and I will be quiet. What's your question to Susie? You were going to have a
Yeah,
question.
I'm just trying to
No,
explain
he's
to you
telling me he
why
doesn't like
I don't
wives,
like the guy.
'cause he
Now,
doesn't like prisoners.
it has very little to do with policy with me.
Okay.
And it has everything to do with I think he lies on a daily basis. I think he sets a very dangerous precedence for this country. He's got thin skin. He acts like a child on Twitter. If he got rid of the rhetoric, and I thought he would have when he won the presidency, I thought it was all an act. Clearly, the man can't control
I think
himself.
he does that just to rile you guys up, to get everybody riled up.
It just keeps the attention on him,
Yeah,
which is
it's
what
not-
he loves.
So you think he went after John McCain just to keep the attention on him?
No, I think he's still on Twitter riling the press
Wait,
up.
this was
because
before. You're talking. You're saying
Yeah.
once he gained the presidency, he
So
would stop the rhetoric.
people at
The
his
McCain thing
rallies are
happened before he
attacked.
was president.
A photographer was attacked at one of his rallies last week, yet he still goes after the media. Okay? For 8 years, Fox News went after Barack Obama. I never heard Barack Obama call Fox News fake news.
They didn't go after him like Trump is being chased down
Look,
by the
24/7,
left-wing media.
man, they went after
It
Obama
wasn't
on Fox
like
News.
this. It was nowhere near.
Okay, so you have one.
He is thin-skinned.
Fox News is going after it, protects him or is on his
You're the
side,
pre-
and then the rest of them are.
But you're the
against him.
president of the
The
United
47
States.
others.
But you're
so
the
Veronica
president.
had one that was against him.
But you're the president of the United States. You shouldn't be on Twitter watching Saturday Night Live, criticizing Saturday Night Live. You shouldn't be going after
Why?
every single person.
Who's setting those standards?
The
I
president.
like that he watches TV. I like that he's keeping informed with
So
the news.
after he sets a state of emergency, you think it's appropriate for
I
him to be
sent out a
criticizing
memo to
Alec
my-
Baldwin in Saturday Night Live?
Do you
don't
think
there's
he
something?
likes the show Shameless?
I don't know. I'm just trying to give you reasons why I don't like the guy. I have no respect for him at all.
Now, do you know his family history?
I know that he's a con artist. I know that.
His great grandfather, Frederick Drumpf. His actual name is Drumpf.
I don't care about his. I
Drumpf.
don't care about his history.
Do you know how they got
family
rich?
history. I don't care about that.
His grandpa was an absolute hustler. He sold horse meat.
What does that have to do with Donald Trump? Trump's
I'm just
not
saying he comes from a very,
Trump's a
very
scam
he
artist.
doesn't come from a silver spoon situation long term.
He
It's
doesn't
not like
come
he comes
from a silver spoon
a
sit-
monarchy.
He was given seven figures
a
when he was
major-
3 years
a
old.
major American family. His grandfather was an immigrant from Germany.
So he was given 7 figures when he was 3 years old. He took over his father's company, $400 million. And you're telling me he wasn't?
He definitely had a trust, and he operated.
Yeah.
Okay. He had a trust,
You're talking about his grandparents.
but he was paid more and more as he was more involved in his father's company.
Look,
which he actually did a very good job of running. Clearly,
I wasn't a big fan of Barack Obama as a president. I didn't agree with all his policies. I thought he didn't help race relations. But you know why I respect a guy like Barack Obama? Because I think he's a respected person because good father, good husband. He showed respect. I'll tell you what, Donald Trump makes George W. Bush look like a great president and a great public speaker. You know what? After 9/11,
he was.
well, he wasn't. But look. After 9/11, when George W. Bush took that megaphone at 9/11, you know, where the Twin Towers were, that was a very strong moment for his presidency, and it was a strong moment for the country. Trump doesn't have any moments like that. They're all bad moments as far as I'm concerned. He says bad things. He embarrasses himself. He lies. Sarah Huckabee Sanders to me is a joke.
You said it best when you said it's not about policy with you. It's more about his personality.
Yeah,
it is absolutely, it has to be about policy with the
That's not
president.
an excuse for his behavior.
It absolutely
It's not an
has to be
excuse.
about policy. I don't care. I could care very little about a president's personality.
So why are
their
we in
behavior.
so much
I
debt
care-
right now?
I care 99% about their policies.
So
their
can I ask you a
policies.
question then, Ron? All the debt that Barack
Oh, we're
Obama put
finally
us in,
getting-
why
oh,
is it
we
that
finally
we're
talking
in
about
more debt than we've never been as a country? Why is it that under Donald Trump, I don't hear Republicans always used to complain, look at the debt, look at the deficit that Obama put us in. What's
We're
the
talking
deficit
about
at right now?
deficits now? Democrats
What's the
wanna talk
deficit
about
right now?
deficits?
Why has Trump not helped as far as that's
Deficits?
concerned?
You want to talk about deficits,
Well,
finally?
I'm just bringing that up, man. That's important if you want to talk about. I'm just telling you.
No, that's
So now we've agreed that you don't like his personality, but you like his policies.
I like some of his policies. I don't agree with transgenders not serving in the military. I think that's a disgrace.
Do you prioritize his personality over his policies?
I think that there is a way to do both. And I think that if you are the president of the United States, which I think we all can agree on, you're the leader of the free world. It's probably arguably the biggest position in all of the planet. I want someone who is a decent person. Doesn't have to be a great person.
Like a Bernie Sanders who just declared his run in 2020. Will you vote for Bernie Sanders in 2020, Brian?
Probably not, and here's why. But I will say that Bernie Sanders is 10 times the person that Donald Trump is as a human being.
You care more about their personality than you care about their policies. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. That is insane.
You wanted Rick Pitino to come here knowing that
that's completely different. He's not running the country. He's not running the country.
No.
He's not running the country. He's a basketball coach.
That is a very, very interesting dynamic.
He's not running the country. He's a basketball coach. It's completely different.
I don't care
he has
what
good policies and procedures.
I don't care what FDR's personality was. I love that he was able to.
Good try, Susie. Good try.
I love that he was able to win World War II. I don't know what Herbert Hoover's personality was like.
All right.
I don't know what J. Edgar Hoover's personality was like. I don't know what freaking Calvin Coolidge's personality was like. I care about their policies.
I understand, Ron.
George Washington was a hardened like person to talk to. He was ridiculous. He was a great leader.
I can't comment on George Washington. I'll tell you what, guys. We got two people on the line.
The guy had wooden teeth.
Yeah.
I'm going to take two really quick phone calls because these two have been waiting on the line for a while. Let's start with Chuck. Joe. Is Joe next? Joe, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. Unfortunately, Joe, I only got about 30 seconds. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh,
what's up, Joe?
Brothers, America is a great country. It always has been. I'll tell you what the problem we have right now. We have donkeys and elephants leading sheep.
I agree. Both parties don't get anything done. I agree.
And the people are willing to be continued to basically just led as sheep.
Joe, that's a great call. I couldn't agree with you more, Joe.
And the media dictates whether you're a donkey or a sheep.
Yeah.
Two worst words in this country, Republican.
They mold people.
Two worst words in this country, Republican and Democrat, because too many people make decisions based on what party they're in rather than what is good for the country. Joe, I could not agree with you more. See, Susie, I do agree with some of my callers. Don't say I disagree with all of them. Let's take one more. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, thanks for calling in. I got about 30 seconds, Chuck.
What's up, Charles?
What about that coach from Grand Canyon? I think he's
Dan Marley?
good here. Yeah.
I love it how we just switch topics like that. I love this show.
Outstanding.
Chuck, I think Dan Marley would be a great fit. He ain't leaving Grand Canyon. That's what I've heard. He's got a hell of a good contract there.
If he got an offer here, he's got the swagger. He's got the background. He would recruit well. I think he'd be a great coach.
Chuck,
I thought about that.
Chuck, I would support Thunder Dan because I think I get some free candy bars. Remember those candy bars he used to sell? I used to love those.
Yeah. Hey,
Chuck,
I got a quick. I just came on a long trip from Philippines, Mexico, Germany,
yes, sir.
And they checked the heck out of you.
Exactly.
With passport and pictures.
So why can't we do that here?
You didn't get any of your stuff in the
north,
country.
they don't do that.
Yeah, if
I
I want to go to Germany for a couple of days, if I don't have my passport, I'm not getting in the country. I might get arrested.
Look, I don't disagree with you guys when it comes to that stuff. I'm all for legal immigration.
Maybe don't make Germany the country of choice.
But just a wall is not going to fix the problem here. There's a lot of things that we need to change. That's all I'm saying. But Ron, I appreciate it always when you come in.
It's always my pleasure.
This has been a very lively show, as it always is. I always turn
I didn't even
red
play
in
the
face.
guitar much during this show.
Oh,
Usually I
thank
play
goodness.
much more.
I wanted like 20 more minutes of Ron on the guitar. That would have been great.
A song. JD
Susie
and I had
is
a
probably
song.
like, what did I get myself into with this guy? He's such a jerk.
Stuck in
So that's
Brown.
fine.
I enjoy
That's
your
fine.
company.
But
Rebels 30-23 at halftime at Wyoming, by the way.
the score is 30-23.
Rebels leading at halftime.
Ooh, they got a shot.
They scored 53
They
points
play
at
better
the half.
away.
Oh my God.
30-23.
So Tim Donaghy, the NBA official that apparently cheated and fixed games. Well, there's a new report that just came out. We're working on trying to get him on tomorrow. And also Jamison Walsh from Drive Time Sports will be joining us. The line is -200 if JD Sharp shows up on time tomorrow. We will see. I would say
-200 no or yes?
No, -200 you show up on time because you took a little flack today. So yes, I think you do show up on time
You think
tomorrow.
I will respond positively?
Yes, you're the favorite. Yes.
Pavlonian
Yes.
conditioning because of what took place
Yes.
today.
Thank you all for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.
Susie, thank you so
Valid.
much.
Thank you,
Ron,
thank you.
appreciate it. The legend, Ken Thompson, up next year. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a great night.